What's up, guys? It's Savjz here with another Riftbound video, and today we're gonna be looking at my latest Sett deck list. Sett is a champion or a legend that I've been playing a lot recently, and it seems super powerful for me. I would think of Sett as one of the top contenders, maybe one of the few like A tier decks that have the chance of maybe even moving into S if you manage to get the deck list correct. So here's going to be my version. I'm going to first talk about some of the basic strategy, and then we'll get more to the details and the more advanced stuff. So, Sett legend. If a buffed unit you would die, you may pay C, which is recycle one, exhaust me, and spend the buff to heal it. So we are going to be very much focused on the buff synergies. The buff synergies, of course, we got the Sett, the Brawler, the orange Sett. This is usually our go-to default champion for game one. Big fan of the Sett. Sett enters with a buff. You can spend the buff to give him +4, and when he conquers, you get a new buff. So it's an 8 might attacker, and then you have the buff. Oftentimes, Sett does, like after you conquer with Sett, your opponent might be the one attacking next, and then Sett would die, but you can save your Sett with your legend, or maybe you have extra movement. But yeah, the orange Sett is kind of our main Sett here, and then we have the yellow Sett, which is good at holding. We have a very specific strategy with the yellow Sett. I'm going to talk about it a little bit more later, but also very powerful. It is essentially our like a backup plan Sett. We'll get to it in just a bit. Showstopper is the signature spell. Buff a friendly unit in your base, then move it to a battlefield. Mega powerful. Very common combo is that you have 6 energy. You play your orange Sett from your champion zone. You immediately consume the buff to put him to 8, and then you play your Showstopper to move your Sett that's already buffed to 8. Give it a new buff and move it to a battlefield as 9 might. It usually gets the job done. Besides the Setts and the signature, of course, some of the other key cards that I want to like immediately highlight here are Kiana. Kiana conquering draws card or channels rune. Absolutely fantastic, especially early on when you get to 4. Getting those extra cards is incredibly important with Sett because otherwise you might run out of cards. So Kiana is one of my favorites, and putting buffs on it also really good. So how do we put buffs? We have a few different ways to put buffs on things. We have one copy of Kinkumong. It's a little bit heavier on the money cost and everything, so I'm only choosing to play one right now because it's also a little bit situational. Like you might not have 2 things to buff and so on and so on. We have some other choices at 4, generally speaking, but this is one of the ways. A better way is the Arena Bar. Arena Bar, in some matchups, it's not that great, and also if you draw multiple copies, there tends to be pretty significant diminishing returns, so that's why we are also playing just one of these. But some of the other key cards, of course, are the 2 drops that we have. These are the 3 2 cost cards. Citria is usually the best one to start with. Gets buffed whenever you play another unit, so that's a useful buff that we can spend for other means, such as the Monastery of Hirana. We can spend a buff to draw 1. The unit that conquers does not need to be the one whose buff gets consumed, so usually you want to use the Citria buff because it's so easy to rebuff the Citria. We also have Pit Rookie. When you play me, buff another friendly unit. So this is one of the key cards to make everything work well, because when a unit receives the buff, the unit is essentially protected from dying thanks to our legend power. So that is how we do this. So we would prefer not to play the Pit Rookie on turn 1. If possible, let's not play it turn 1. Instead play Citria or even Glory Seeker, even if it doesn't get a buff on itself. Legion means if it's not the first card played, it gets a buff. But I would prefer we want to play the Citria, but the backup is the Tree Fighting and Glory Seeker. And then Pit Rookie is supposed to oftentimes be on maybe turn 3 or so. So we start with this, and then we play something valuable like Kiana or the yellow Sett. And then when Kiana is ready for action, before attacking with Kiana, we can buff it to keep it safe. So those are the main ways to buff. Then we of course have First Mates, just a really solid all-around card. Get ready the Kiana. With First Mate, of course, one of the good ways to use it is when you conquer, that you can pull your own unit back to safety, or when you have higher energy, you can also just like play a powerful unit and immediately ready it, such as the Sett Brawler for later on in the game. So First Mate, absolutely one of the core cards in here. one copy of Primal Strength. It can really be a difference maker, but it does require a certain situation, and it's also not that great into some of the green decks because of Defy. Because you pay 4 and your opponent pays just 1 for Defy. So I usually, if I'm playing against the green domain, I end up sideboarding this out just because of the threat of Defy. Of course, even against green decks, it can be good in case your opponent is already tapped out, or if they don't have, if you sabotage them, check their hand and you see that there's no Defy or you took it away, that will also do it, of course. And we're currently running just 1 sabotage in the main deck, and we're running 2 sabotage in the side deck. Very powerful card when your opponent is playing something like Dazzling Aurora. The Unyielding Spirits on the sideboard, since I'm talking about sideboard, might as well mention that right now. This is against Kai'Sa mainly. So when your Kai'Sa opponent goes for their Falling Star, this is a good way to kind of like shield yourself from it. Sett should be pretty good against Kai'Sa in general anyway, because you can use your Legend power to save your units from the damage spells, but having an extra Unyielding Spirits are still very, very important. Then we have Salvage. Salvage, of course, for the Dazzling Auroras, but there are other gear as well that every now and then you can also use this on. It's a fine card against like maybe Zonia's Hourglass situation with you can get rid of Zonia's, but that's not the mainly it is for the Dazzling Aurora decks. All right, let's get to the one more. Okay, this is one more basic cards that we have. So another way to Call to Glory, super powerful. As you play this, you may spend a buff as an additional cost. If you do, ignore this. So it's a 0 cost plus 3 might. So in cases where we are not pulling our units back from a battlefield, let's say we had a Kiana that went in, and then our opponent is trying to take out the Kiana. We don't have a buff on the Kiana. If we have, let's say we have C3 in the base with a buff, we can consume the C3 as buff and play Call to Glory on Kiana. So the 0 cost Call to Glory can really swing the tide of a battle when your opponent is trying to do math. And it's also something that's always, even if we don't have it in the hand, our opponent has to take it into consideration. Then of course we can combo it with like challenges to take out the enemy units that are the most key units to take out. Challenge also a really good combo with the Sett after you consume the buff, because this Sett gets so big. Then we have one more Wallop. The Wallop is one more like a kind of like a basic card that's just useful sometimes to ready a unit if you want to go an extra time. But yeah, the most recent kind of like spicy cards that I've been adding here. Now we get into the advanced stuff. So Lee Sin. You don't see Lee Sin very often, but it's a very powerful finisher. Also, if you have 7 points, you're trying to hold. Like common strategy to wait. I'm sorry, I'm rambling a little bit. If you are at 6 points, we have many units in the base that are buffed. What we do is we play Lee Sin Accelerated, and then we just move everything into one battlefield, and then with the Lee Sin and the buffed units, we hold for the last point. Lee Sin just great. Also doesn't recycle a rune, so sometimes you have 6, you can just play it, and then you buff it later to keep it alive with arena bar and stuff. You can just keep it alive. Lee Sin doesn't buff itself extra when it has the buff. It's the other buffed units at the battlefield, but it's a really like almost like a sleeper card. It's just it's pretty big, and the ability also is very much relevant when you are doing those like trying to take out your opponent's stronger board positions with your multiple buffed units. Then, now we get into the truly spicy stuff. Divine Judgment. Each player chooses 2 units, 2 gear, 2 runes, and 2 cards. I've been experimenting with 1 or 2, and I think 2 is also very interesting, but right now I'm just running 1 because I don't really want to draw 2 at a time, and I've also felt that I'm doing pretty fine in the games even without the Divine Judgment. So I haven't really needed it, but it's something that I'm very curious in and trying to like maybe build around even more in the future. But this is where I'm at right now. So when we get ahead on the board, we have our strong position, and we are, and especially when we are running low on cards. When we are running low of cards, and our opponent, we are playing as Kai'Sa. This is such a wonderful card because they will have to discard a lot, but for us, it's barely making a difference. It also combos really well with the Hidden Blade in particular, because Hidden Blade, of course, kill a unit at a battlefield. They draw 2, but the extra draw is essentially like worthless because their hand it will go back down to 2, so you don't have to worry so much about them drawing 2. I mean, of course they get to select, they have more to select from, but still, and you get to remove their biggest unit before you do that. So ideally, if we have that much mana, it can also set back your opponent if you're playing against an Aurora deck that hasn't played the Aurora yet. We have a couple of units. If they don't have any units, like any time almost when we have units and an opponent doesn't have units, it's a good time for this. It's just that then you really get quite far ahead. All right, some more strategy definitely worth talking about are the battlefields. Let's talk about the battlefields to like finish this guide off. First game, we always go with the Monastery of Hirona. This is our best battlefield. It is absolutely amazing. It gives us those much needed cards. It's not useful to the opponent usually. It's very rare that we would queue into another Sett or maybe Leona. Leona can sometimes take value, but this gives us incredible value without really giving much to our opponent. So that's what makes it so good. Sometimes you have a battlefield that's good for you, but it's also good for your opponent. But this one is mostly good just for us. So this is our best battlefield, and it doesn't matter if we go first or second. This is what we start with. Okay, and here we go. This is like a cool little strategy here that we have with the star-tipped peak. So star-tipped peak will be for either game 2 or game 3. You select this battlefield in the game where you know that you are going first. So if you lost game 1, game 2, you will be going first. We select the star-tipped peak, and not only that, but instead of the orange Sett, we will have the yellow Sett in our champion zone. This will be our selection. So we're going to make a change from the orange to the yellow for the star-tipped peak game. Turn 1, we play hopefully Citria, but any of these other ones is fine too, like Glory Seeker, Pit Rookie. All we need is to just draw one of these. Draw one of these 9 cards. If we don't get a 2 energy card, that's some pretty bad luck because we're playing 9 of them. But ideally it will be the Citria. We play this turn 1. Then your opponent plays their unit. Turn 2, you move this in to the star-tipped peak and you play your Sett Kingpin from the champion zone directly there. And look at that. We have a tank, 6 might unit, and a 2 might unit. So we have a 6 and a 2. And then we just try to snowball the runes with the star-tipped peak. So we have a snowball strategy here with the turn 2, kind of like getting that hammerlock on it with that 8 might. Very powerful start, and your opponent will be very sad if you to most likely be unable to get rid of your Sett Kingpin. Then we can reinforce there if we want to and everything. But yeah, game 3 will be the Windswept Hillock or the game where we are going second essentially. This is for the game 2 or game 3 where we are going second, where the opponent. If we won game 1, then it would be game 2. Will the opponent is most likely going first, so then we will pick this. The thing about the ganking is very powerful, and the main ways to use the ganking are, for example, with Sett Brawler and the Showstopper combo. So we have Sett Brawler in the base, we consume the buff. What we need to do is we do first play the Showstopper, so then we go conquer the Hillock, and then the Sett is still ready and very big. We could even consume the extra buff and then make it even bigger, and then go to the other battlefield. So we can kind of do the double battlefield. Also with Kiana can conquer we can first go to the ganking battlefield, and then Kiana can directly go from there to the other battlefield to get those extra draws or the extra runes. This is the one battlefield that I'm not as sure about in this deck. These two I'm absolutely huge fan of. The problem with this is not that it's bad for us, but it is also helpful to the other players. So that's the thing about Windswept Hill. I'm still considering maybe there is something else we want to play, but there is significant synergy with that. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Playing units, buffing units, removing cards, Lee Sin. There's a lot of deck choices here. One of the main reasons also to play this color combination is this is maybe the most powerful sideboard of any color combination. Just the access to Salvage, Sabotage, Unyielding Spirit. These are some of the best deck cards, best sideboard cards possible in the entire game, and we just have access to both the yellow and the orange. So yeah, super exciting deck. I think it has a lot of potential. I think it does pretty well into Yi and also Kaisa. So definitely something that you could even bring to big tournaments. Thanks for watching, guys, and enjoy Riftbound. Oh, by the way, 600. Yeah, it's not really that. It's because this. It's probably like 300 deck though. It's not cheap, but yeah. Okay. Bye.